To be back. All righty. Should be good to go.
All right.
All right, we good. You ready to go?
There you go.
Hold on, let me get on my comments here because I want to comment back to people today because I know a lot of our peeps are going to be commenting. So I'm gonna take a notion to comment on here. So if you guys are watching live on Facebook and you're watching my personal Facebook, switch over to the Stoop Life group. I pinned the video to the top. So make sure you're watching the one in the Stoop Life group. Because if you're commenting on my actual Facebook, I'm not going to respond to you till later. But we're going to actually respond to the people live in the Stoop right now. So check that out. We're going to be on there right now. I'm on the comments. All right. You ready to go?
Ready, roll?
Let's go. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the best sports podcast in motherfucking Pennsylvania. I know it's been a long time since we said that, but we wanted to remind you guys because we've been off for a week. I was on a little hiatus of drinking tequila, and it was a fun week. It's a fun week off. But we're coming back to you guys with an episode that my man Paulie came up out of the blue. We weren't going to talk about the NBA Finals, but it's been a week. We don't care anymore. The NBA draft's on tonight. We don't care anymore. We're going to talk about something that a lot of people are going to argue about. They're going to bitch about because they might not agree with us. And that's what we're about here. We're about making you not agree with us, but giving you factual information on why you should. So Paulie came up with the idea to kick it back to our roots and do a top 10 list on here. Now, don't mind you guys that me and Paulie did not fully agree on the list, but we compromised. We talked it out to make an accurate list that we both agree upon is good enough. And when I say good enough, I mean it's an A, not an A+, but it's still an A. It's an A.
It's a passing grade.
So, Paulie, I'm doing enough babbling on here. Now, give him a little rundown of what our list is about today because we're going to start it off right when you're done.
First of all, welcome back, Florida Sunshine. I'm gonna get right to it, man. When we first started podcasting, period, like during the pandemic, we did a lot of this stuff. Like, not only did we debate, of course we debate. We argued every day anyway. But these lists that we were coming up with was excellent, and it was fun. Like, basketball season's over. No disrespect to the draft. I'm gonna check in, tune in. We're both gonna check in and tune in from here and there. But my team doesn't suck enough to get a high enough draft pick. So I don't look forward to a draft. My team doesn't suck this much. So my team's good. Our team's good. So we'll get there later. But
we're more worried about the free agency and the trade accusations.
Exactly. And that's what we're watching. But these lists we used to do, it was like boom, 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 like out of the blue. Like I would just be thinking at my job all day during that pandemic and be like, who are the best? What was the best? What would be today's one near and dear to our hearts. We got top 10 Philadelphia athletes of all time. When I mean Philadelphia athletes, they played for us. I don't mean that they're necessarily from here. You can say that.
Might be a bonus. You did.
I can. We can say that. But I'm rolling with the best players that played for us, who put on for us, who bring us some laughs, bring us some parades, some rings, some champagne to pop, even some lows. But this is what we do. Philadelphia sports athletes, we love them. They hate us sometimes, but we love them. But let's get right to it, man. This is a great list. The best thing about Philadelphia is this. I'm not gonna lie. We have more than just a 4 for 4. If you guys don't know what 4 for 4 is, it's the 4 dominant sporting teams, which is Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, and Phillies. That's our 4 for 4. But we do have boxing here that is a rich tradition. This is why I fell in love. And we also do have, all bullshit aside, our Union team is amazing. So it's about to be a 5 for 5 city.
Yeah. There's more than that. You got more athletes out there. Like if you look in Philly, if we would have made this a list about best athletes from Philly, not athletes that played here, we would never be able to make a list because there's too many.
We would never be. We would be here for hours.
Because we can start talking about different sports, golf, wrestling, Olympic. There's a lot of them. So we're like you said, we're just doing athletes that played for the city. And like you just said, guys, boxing counts. Boxing counts in the city of Philadelphia. When you're going to like Cleveland or something, you got one guy, don't count. We're talking about when you have predominant guys that are from here that everybody knows, they count on the list. So
we have not only do we have a boxing, we have some of the all-time greatest boxers that came from our city.
When they make a movie called Rocky Balboa out of your city about a guy from your city when he's not even from here, Sylvester Stallone is not from here. That's how great the city of Philadelphia is in their sports.
Exactly.
And that's why this list was actually hard to make, because
it's terribly hard.
There's a lot of guys that we left off the list that could very easily be on this list. There's a lot of guys that people said in the group that could easily be on this list. But for me, I come with, I look at the legacy that they still left behind currently now. And pretty much if they won, that's a knock on their thing. If they did something, if they didn't win, if they won an MVP award, this or that, if they won a title, this or that, add that on. So that's what made it for me. So number 10 on our list, we're gonna get you guys started with right now, and we got a guy right now that's actually might be the best athlete of the Philadelphia era. Might be the best generational talent, to be honest with you, because the stuff that this guy is done and it continues to do is absolutely phenomenal. We get to watch him currently right now. It's a little upsetting sometimes when we bring his name up, because we were told to trust the process for a while, and it hasn't really picked it out yet. But we got number 10. We got on our list number 10, and we think this guy will end up going up the list, even if he only plays for 2-3 more years in the city. Number 10 on the list is current NBA 76er Joel Embiid. So how do you feel about him being number 10, man?
I have no beef with that. No beef. And I'm going to tell you why, because he's a scoring champ. He became a scoring champ in a league full of guards who are bucket getters. And he's unique. He's a great defender. He can shoot that outside three. He is the Philadelphia 76ers. He's what we had with Allen Iverson and as kids. Like my daughters know who Joel Embiid is, and they're 5 and 7. So it's Joel is such an impactful player that she's like, can't miss. Trust the process. Like, he's a character. His Twitter, the man he control you. He's one of the best, man. He has every right to be on this list.
Yo, the one thing we talk about too is like legacy, careers, things that they've done impactful. And I think one of the things that people don't appreciate enough with Joel Embiid is the fact that he's from a completely different country. He's one of the first players from Africa, where he's from Cameroon, to be here. And like his legacy on that, guys, in the next 20 years, when we see a lot of these athletes seeing that Joel Embiid is a scoring champion as a big man, 10, 15 years from now, there's going to be a lot more players from that country that come over here because of what Joel Embiid is currently doing right now. And to have him in our city to play for our team, I get we haven't won a championship yet, but his impact that he's going to do for the future of the game, for the future of the sport, is amazing. And
beautiful.
Like I said, it's amazing. The last time a scoring champion has been a big guy since Shaq, and everybody knows Shaq. Think about that. Shaq was not a player from an international country. So, we have number 10 at the list right now. And like I said, 15, 20 years from now, if this guy wins the championship for our city, God forbid, like the Bronx, we already know what'll happen. But yeah, I mean, he still has time here. And he's doing it right in front of our eyes. And I get he hasn't won an MVP yet, but we all know he probably should have. So there's an asterisk to it. But 5-time NBA All-Star, 4-time All-Second Team, should have been first team twice, 3-time All-NBA second team, an NBA scoring champion, a rookie first team. The guy's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal player, and I enjoy watching him. I'm mad. I'm hoping we get him a championship here for him, because he embodies Philly. Even though he's not from Philly, he embodies Philly. And that's
you took the words right out of my mouth. What I was going to say, he gets it. Like, not a lot of players that are great actually bond with their city. Joel Embiid bonds with his city. He's an international player that came here and embodied the Philadelphia way.
Exactly, man. I mean, it's fun to watch. So you already got our number 10 answer, so you might have been shocked by that. But I don't really think you're going to be shocked by anybody else on this list. You might question where they're ranked, but I think every single other person on this list should be on everybody's list. And that's exactly what we had. We both agreed upon 8 or 9 players, and then the 10th one we were kind of like, where do we got to switch around a little bit. So not number 9, we did a lot of talking about boxing, and love him or hate him, this guy is without a doubt one of the best middleweight fighters of all time. One of the best fighters of all time. He's from our city of Philadelphia, and he 100% embodied it. Who we got on number 9, Paul?
Bernard Hopkins, the executioner, a.k.a. the alien, B-Hop. Undisputed middleweight champ, man. He's from 2001 to 2005. He ruled 160. People might complain about the competition, but he just did his thing, man. Bernard literally, the mind he has. First, I've had a conversation with Bernard. I've had the pleasure of actually having a 5-minute conversation with him, and it's like when he talks, he lives and breathes boxing in the way he breaks down boxing. I've never heard a mind like that speak about the sport. He does embody Philadelphia. He does love the city. The fact that he has the longest reign at middleweight is beautiful. Then the man came back as a 40-plus-year-old man, 45, 46, 47, and was winning fights. Then became the lineal champion at 175.
Yeah.
At 48 years old. Like
executioner.
In a violent sport, he did something that George Foreman did, but he was older. Bernard Hopkins was older when he won the light heavyweight championship, and he unified it. Like greatness.
You know, one thing I always remember about Bernard Hopkins is his fights against Jermaine Taylor, Joe Calzaghe, later John Pascal. Like, yeah. Remember when he's fighting Pascal? He was like, he wasn't supposed to be fighting these guys. Like
he wasn't.
He was way past his prime. He was still winning.
You remember in that fight that I think because he was giving Pascal problems. He came out of the round and started doing push-ups.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Bro, this is his way of saying, bro, don't ever think I'm too old for this shit. And he won the fight. He beat Pascal. I think he actually dropped him in that fight. That's the greatness of Bernard Hopkins, man. He's had great fights against Roy Jones. He's been in there with, like you said, Jermaine Taylor. He went in there against. Listen, he took on Kovalev, right? When Kovalev was the killer of the division. Went 12 rounds with the killer of the division.
At 40, almost 50 years old.
A month later, he was 50 years old.
Like it was a unanimous decision, but it went 12 rounds.
Bernard, the second half of that fight was a genius almost. But Kovalev was, obviously a little bit too strong for him. A lot of times Bernard lost. He did lose some of that power. Going, you're 50 years old, dude. Like he did lose some of that power. But the one thing he never left was his. Yeah, he had a mind.
I still remember him knocking out bitch ass Oscar De La Hoya.
Ooh, what a body shot! I felt that shit.
And he was still 40 years old at that fight. And like a fighter at 40 years old, you're not supposed to be knocking people out. I don't care how old
was
at the time, but what was he? I believe going into that fight, minus the draws, he was on like a 40-fight win streak or something like that. And it was for like 3 titles. He won for 3 titles. I remember my boy Lou, our sponsor. Shout out to Lulu Banga. His boy Kelly Pavlik. Remember
he screwed him. He screwed his ass. Bro, Pavlik. He left Pavlik in a bloody puddle. Like he could have stopped him. He started playing with him. The man that knocked out. You remember Tarver, right? Antonio Tarver. The man that knocked out Antonio Tarver, Bernard played with. Yeah. He played with. He could have stopped him too. Played with. Like
I remember, dude. I also remember like that fight because everyone's Bernard's 43, 44 years old. He doesn't have the speed anymore. And Kelly Pavlik was just like knocking people out, like you just said.
That's when he beat Jermaine Taylor's ass.
It was the end of Kelly Pavlik because they're like, this dude's fucking slow. Like you remember because Kelly Pavlik was going up, like he was supposed to get like unanimous titles after that fight. And Bernard, at 44 years old, might have been 43, didn't knock him out, but knocked his ass. Another fight I remember, you'll remember this, and I remember it mainly for the fight night games. Because I used to always like using the southpaws. I used to like using the southpaws in the game until I don't even remember what year it was, 2006 or 7, when he fought Winky Wright and he whooped his ass. And I was like, all right, I can't use Winky Wright no more in the game because like my man B-Hop just like schooled him.
Took him to work. I think the most craziest like iconic moment I can think of B-Hop. He fought Tito Trinidad when Tito Trinidad was. Again, if you want to talk about another guy who was going through that division, Tito just came off of knocking out William Choppy, who he embarrassed. Tito just killed him. Bernard, in the middle of a press conference, threw the Puerto Rican flag down, stomped on it, and ran. You don't do that. You don't do that in the middle of. I forgot where. I want to say he was in New York when he did it, but I could be wrong. I forget. But I remember the press conference. He did that, and he just took off running. Then he beat the shit out of Tito.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
The fact that we have Bernard Hopkins at number 9 is actually pretty crazy because this man won the middleweight title in 1995. Yeah. And he fought until, 3 years ago? And he was still, a champion a lot of that time. He got 20 title defenses, 17 different opponents.
The longest streak.
Unbelievable.
In the middleweight division.
Unbelievable. And he was born and raised in Philadelphia, which is great. It's great. But enough of Bernard Hopkins. We got to go to another guy here that is similar to him. You got the executioner.
Listen,
another guy that everybody appreciated him, but I think he might be. If you ask 100 people who your favorite Philadelphia athlete of all time is,
he's in that.
I think half of them might say this guy. Maybe not half, but I think he might be the most said. Mm-hmm. So who got a number 8?
We got the one and the only, but we got Brian Dawkins. B-Dog, baby. Listen, him coming out of that tunnel on a Sunday afternoon in the fall, if you weren't up for the game, he was getting you up for the game after that. The ferociousness he bring on the field, he was a leader. He was a leader. My man was different, man. I'm not an Eagles fan. You guys know this, but there's Eagles players that hold a special place in my heart. I got another guy. I got to shake his hand. B-Dog is a big man, bro. He's a big man, and I seen him in his prime, up close and personal. He's a big man, and I see why he was laying them hits on guys, man. B-Dog was a guy who lived and breathed Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I see our comments here. Everybody's a little mad. We got B-Dog at number 8. And I want to remind y'all that this isn't a popularity contest either. Because if we have a popularity contest, he'd be number 2 or 3 for me as well.
I agree.
In my opinion, the only reason I don't have B-Dog a little bit higher is, which it's kind of messed up because I think a lot of the other guys, some guys on the list, we don't really take him away, but he didn't win a title here. And I think that hurt a lot of his credentials for the top ever. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. When we watched the Eagles, he was one of the guys who were like, all right, B-Dog's going to come out the locker room. He's going to come out screaming, and then he's going to get a big hit, ignite the game. I'll never forget some of the hits he laid. This guy was a 4-time first-team All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, and he was on the All-Decade team in the 2000s. But the only thing is, guys, he never won a title here. And I think going through that and knowing we should have won. It wasn't all his fault. I get it. It's team sport. I think that hurt his ranking for us. Hey, WIP didn't even have him in the top 10.
I know, and that's the perennial station. I don't want to mention those stations on here, but that's the perennial station of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they didn't have him ranked that high either.
Which is retarded.
I get it.
I could easily put him number 4, 5, 3, 2.
Me too.
I wouldn't even have a problem if you had number 1, simply because if you want to get somebody that you want one game on the line, it comes down to that person doing something. B-Dog stopping somebody or laying out a hit, 100%. He'd be right there on the list.
Algie Crumpler, that's all you gotta say. Algie Crumpler,
100% hits. I mean,
that's all you gotta say. Yeah. You know what? It's a shame that he didn't get a ring because if there's a player that most deserves it, Brian Dawkins is one of the most deserving players to have a ring. He was Weapon X, man. He was Wolverine to us.
He really was. I mean, I still do that shit. Like, I remember one time. So I went into the gym, and I was like, we got to lift today. I was being a big dog in the gym. I was doing 125s. I was doing them for flat press, real easy. I see this motherfucker on the side over here. I'm like, yo, dude's wearing a beanie. He's wearing like a long sleeve shirt. Dude was huge. He wasn't fucking around with 125s on bench press. He was fucking around with the 125s on seated shoulder press for like 50. He was just throwing them shits up. And I was like, damn. There's
my shoulder thinking about this.
Dude, no, it wasn't. It was like a warm-up to this guy. Like, people don't realize how strong this motherfucker was. Like, on the field, like, you don't really need that strength, like, like that shoulder press. But that's just the other areas in which he focused on in his life. I can only imagine, like, how strong his legs were, how strong his actual bench press was, because it's hidden. All those movements you do, front squats, deadlifts, all that shit. He was probably unbelievable because this guy was shoulder pressing 125s, dumbbells, just sitting there, just chilling it for like 20, putting them back, and then doing curls. And I'm like, I need to go home. Like, I need to start eating more. I need to like.
I know he was different, bro. He was different. But the whole thing that he's that low is because there's so many great people. So shout out to B-Dog. In my opinion, he was the heart and soul of a football team. So I understand why the people were mad. It is what it is, but it's our list.
Yeah, I mean,
debate it.
Yo, you know the thing is, guys, like when we made the list and we both saw our list, we had to combine them. My one thing was, I'm like, damn, how do we have B-Dog there? Like, we both said the same thing, but we're like, yo, like, legacy, records, titles, they all matter when it comes to top athletes. So it's like, one thing held against him is he didn't win a title. Yeah, he's a safety, like you said, but don't hold him against him. But everyone else above him on this list, you'll see why we have him. So we got number 7 here. We got number 7 on the list, and you could also have this guy higher on the list. You could have this guy off the list. Some people, because they don't like.
Yeah, some people have him not even on their list.
Yeah, but like when we talk about legacy, when we talk about things that happen, there's nobody that has a bigger moment in sports I can think than what this guy was involved with. I'm talking about his legacy with his rivalry. We got another boxer who was a Philadelphia guy as well. One of the best fighters of all time. We're talking about Smoking Joe Frazier.
Man,
at number 7.
How do you listen? This is so hard. This is so hard to even look at still, but Smoking Joe, man, he's the first man to beat Ali. He did the impossible. Exactly. Ali was unbeatable. I love Ali. Ali is the greatest boxer of all time. He's the GOAT. But he went in there and he beat Ali. And it was beautiful. It was such a beautiful thing. But what a lot of people forget about Smoking Joe is how much he did for his community. He opened up a gym in North Philly, like in the middle of the block. Like he loved this city as much as I think anybody did. Like he wasn't Philadelphia. He wasn't from here. People don't know that he was not born in Philadelphia. He was born in North Carolina, I believe, or South Carolina. But he came to the city and he embodied a guy
35 years of his life.
Yes, and if there's somebody we're most proud of, it's Joe Frazier. We're very.
I remember growing up, he was actually lived in Roxborough area, so a lot of people from Roxborough knew Joe Frazier's house. I remember we used to drive by it all the time. My dad would be like, "Oh, it's Smoking Joe's house." They were like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, he lived right there, right on the corner." And I'm not gonna say where it was, but if you ever go down to Philly, you get D'Alessandro's, and you go down there, you pass his house all the time. You know, his family still lives there, and like you said, he did a lot for the community. That's why, he's very feels like he was born and raised in Philly because he embodied the city. Like
he did, man.
Like we talk about with Rocky Balboa, he embodied the fight, he embodied the struggle because nobody thought you could ever beat Muhammad Ali, and this guy beat him.
He did it, man. I got to give him respect for that. And his style he created a style of boxing. The Philly shell is based on Joe Frazier, in my opinion. There was people that used it, don't get me wrong, before him, but he really utilized it perfectly. He started it. I mean, he's just a little guy. None of the people forget. Joe is shorter and smaller than a lot of heavyweights, and he went in there and beat a lot of good heavyweights. So to be a heavyweight champion, and I believe, how tall is Joe? 5'11"? He's about Mike Tyson, I think.
He's about the same height as Mike Tyson.
to go in there and do what he did at that height, which is considered a light heavyweight nowadays, or possibly a cruiserweight, is amazing. Again, we're most proud of him in this city. Like
exactly. That's why we have him here because you can ask anyone that, oh yeah, Fraser Philly. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
To think of his impact that he had on the city after all of the stuff. And if you guys want to go check his gym out, his gym is actually a historic place. It's still there. It's literally called Joe Fraser's Gym in Philadelphia. And it wasn't built by him, but he took it over. It was actually a little restaurant. And he turned it into his gym, which is actually amazing. It's on 2917 North Broad Street, right in Philly. So
wild thing is, my dad trained there. My dad won his Golden Gloves out of that gym.
Yeah, a lot of people.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that's the thing, because a lot of boxers when they go to Philly, and they train there with his lineage is still there, which is crazy. So his legacy is still going on in the city of Philadelphia. And I mean, when we did the we just finished the bracket for boxing, a lot of people were complaining Joe Frazier wasn't on our list. Well, here you go. He's on our list here because he deserves it. He's a Philly proud guy. We love him there. Now we gotta get into the next ones here. We got the top 6 coming up. So if you guys didn't like what we had yet, well, hopefully you like what we have to finish with because we do. So Paulie, number 6. Who do we got at number 6 here?
First of all, when I say this, listen, the minister of defense, he was a Packer too. So Reggie White at number 6 isn't horrible. Now let's get to this though, man. Defensive player of the year, most ferocious defensive line to ever walk. He was the baddest motherfucker in the league at the time. I can still remember in the Super Bowl, watching him going against the Patriots defensive line. He threw 2 of them with an arm swing. 2 of them. He was a strong country boy who got the work done. And Reggie, man, he's an all-time great, one of the greatest defense players that ever played this game, to ever step foot on the field. Reggie, how can you not love him? He did leave you guys. Leave you guys.
So we just had this argument. We just had this conversation before we got on, guys. A lot of you forget about Reggie because he left Philadelphia and won a championship somewhere else. And listen, I get it. It sucks, but he was 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in Philadelphia. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in Philly. He was all-pro every single year he was in Philly, from 85 to 92. Every year he was first team all-pro in Philly.
That's amazing.
Every time. He was on the decade team that whole time in Philly. He made the decade team. He was unbelievable. His numbers retired here in Philly for a reason. He was in the Hall of Fame before Philadelphia Hall of Fame before he retired for a reason.
The minister of defense. That's all
he changed the way defenses played football.
Yes.
He changed the way you had to cover defenses.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like Reggie. They either put him too low on there because, like we just said, they don't like because he left the city, right?
God told him, hey, God called him. The Almighty God called him to go to Green Bay. So he had to follow his way. I'm just saying.
Listen, I mean, if we're going to go pure talent, he could easily be number 1 on this list.
I agree. Probably the strongest.
Who has 13-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time first team All-Pro. Not a lot of people that have those accolades that are on a list that play for Philly. It's pretty phenomenal. And the crazy thing is, he did all this shit when he left Philly, and he did it before Philly in college. SEC Player of the Year, unanimous All-American. He's hands down. I agree with Robert Robinson here. Hands down, best Eagle of all time. And that's why he's here. He's not in the top 5 for a reason. We're gonna give you why. But Reggie White, guys, if you want to go watch some mean highlights of some mean dudes, go watch him and go watch Lawrence Taylor, because them 2 guys, their video clips will make you look at what happened to football.
Like I said, just go back to the Packers Super Bowl now. I mean, the boast of my being a fan. Just go back to that Packers Super Bowl in '96, where he got that last sack, he threw two defensive linemen with a swim move.
I agree.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I agree, man. And we're gonna go post that video in the Stoop later, so people are reminded of how good this guy is. But yo, Paul, we got a comment right here for you. My number 6 was Moses Malone. So we got the next guy coming up, and listen, we didn't know how to go about it because we didn't want to go too heavy on certain sports. So we actually, unfortunately, left Moses Malone off. And Paul is going to give you the reason why we originally had him and took him off. But we're going to give you the reason right now with number 5.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You're the floor.
Listen, the reason why Moses is off, I had him on. But again, I did my list like 5 times. And 4 out of those 5 times, Moses Malone was in my top 5. But in a couple of those times, I left Dr. J off, and I was like, whoa, what am I doing? Moses Malone was the MVP of both the finals and the league the year they won the championship. He was a major part of that team that won it. He was the piece that they needed to win the championship. I feel like a piece of shit for leaving him off. Don't get me wrong. He's my honorable mention. I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, the only reason we said I agree with you is because, like, when they won because, Dr. J was there. He was the guy. When you talk about that championship team, unless you're actually, like, a sports guy, like, you're hardcore into it, like our group is, obviously. Yeah. Moses Malone's really not mentioned a lot there. So we're like, all right, well, who do we take off? We could have took Joel Embiid off, put Moses on, but we want to keep it a little hit up to date. That's why we didn't put him on there. But we got number 6, number 5. We got the doctor, Julius Erving. And I don't think you can argue with him being right there,
Why not? I mean, again, Julius Erving, like I said, he was on my – I actually had I had him on my list too. But the one I sent you, like I said, I did 5 different lists. The one I sent to Bobby, I didn't realize I left Dr. J off. And you have to have Dr. J on this list. When you have one of the most popular basketball players that ever played this game, and he played for your team and won a championship for your team and did a lot of great things for your city, he has to be on this list. So no, I did not leave. Hold on. I did not leave Dr. J off my list. Just the one I sent him, I did by accident. He's on our list, though. Doc is on our list. I feel sick when Doc is on this list.
I mean, I'm trying to find where I put him. I don't have a problem with him not being on the top 10. I really don't anymore. But Dr. J's top 5. I honestly, he could be easy.
Hands down, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look what this guy did for the game of basketball. People are still remembering Dr. J, what he did. And we got to remember 1983 NBA champion. 2-time ABA champion, most valuable player in 1981, 11-time All-Star, 5-time ABA All-Star, 11-time NBA All-Star. Guy was just like, he did everything. He's one of the guys that was the transfer into the game. Like when we talk about legacy, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier with why we had Joel Embiid on. His legacy, what he did going forward was incredible. This guy came from the ABA and then transitioned over to the Sixers, and he's one of the first players to do that. And his legacy on what he did changed the entire game. Basically he was in Jackie Moon's movie as Coffee Black. Basically, that was Dr. J. Like that was what he did to the game. He transitioned it. I mean, he's still around the game of basketball because of what he did. He still judges dunk contests because of what he did on those, He's
arguably the greatest dunker of all time. I mean, people always talk about how much of a trash shot he had, but in that time, did you really need that 3-point shot or that little quick 12-foot shot? I mean, some Ben Simmons never had, but Julius Erving was such electric and iconic that he has to be on here. He has to be. I mean, I know a lot of old heads who call him the GOAT. So I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of heck from a couple of them I see right here. We're not having him number 1.
Yeah, a lot of people have number 1 on their list. To be honest.
I know. I listen, and when I say this, I'm not gonna mention what I work around a lot of old heads who love sports, who live and breathe Philadelphia sports still. I listen to Philadelphia sports talk probably the majority of my day. The amount of times I hear Julius Erving is the GOAT I would be a rich man if I was taking money from you. So
I believe it.
yeah, I mean, he's the great. He lived and breathed the game. He was basketball. He was the NBA. So he played for us. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, look at what he did. Like it just said, Doc is best dunker. Well, Vince, of course. I mean, Rob, you're right. Like this guy was a dunk before they even realized what a dunk was. You know, like they pretty much made the dunk contest so this guy could show off. Like for real. Like rock the baby. Like people still do that. They still show it in movies of basketball.
People don't understand. Even when he came into the NBA, man, he was older. Remember, he was with the ABA first.
Exactly.
He came in, I think, as a 30-year-old and was dominating. That's how much of a hooper he was, man. Dr. J's, he's iconic.
His first season in the NBA, he scored 21.6 points per game, 8.5 rebounds. His career average, 24.2 points per game, 8.5 rebounds.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. Like his career. Like unbelievable. Up until his last year when he got a little older. I mean, that the NBA team they won on, he was averaging, damn near like pretty like 22, 8, 5, 2 assists a game, 2 blocks per game. It's like, well, I don't know what the current stats are now, but how many small forwards average close to what he does right now? Like with the blocks, the steals. Like they don't usually get all across the board. He did all across the board. That's how good he was. But the fact that we don't have him in the top 4, I'm going to tell you why. Because our top 4 right here is about a combination of legacy and fandom. So we don't really talk about this sport a lot in the Stoop. We actually have the finals going on right now in it. And this guy, anybody who's a Flyers fan, this is their guy. Anybody that talks about hockey in the city of Philadelphia, they remember this guy.
They do.
They bring up his team. We're talking about the Broad Street fucking Bullies. Every single sports team, whether it's basketball, football, hockey, whatever. When they talk about Philadelphia, they talk about the Broad Street Bullies. They really do.
First thing when it comes to the Flyers, that's the first. And I guarantee you, this guy coming up is the first thing they bring up.
First thing. So this guy's number 4. We got Bobby Clark, the best hockey player for this town. And he's number 4 on our list because of what he did, man. Broad Street Bullies. Like, as a kid, I had no idea who the hell Bobby Clark was, except that he had the same name as me. And I was like, that's a good dude. Then when I started actually researching, getting into sports, I looked up what this dude did. I wish he was still around now because the Flyers need this guy. And, like, the great guys. For those of you that don't watch hockey, and I understand why you don't watch hockey now because our Flyers are not that good.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Think about it. They won the 1975 Stanley Cup, and they had the famous photo where they're beating everybody up. Broad Street Bullies, right? So when you talk about the Flyers, you think, oh, Broad Street Bullies, he just beat people up, right? No. This man, on top of that, he had over 400 goals, over 800 assists, over 1,200 points, and he played over 1,100 games. That's a lot. Put that in perspective. He's top 10 in all of those categories in the history of hockey, and he's known for fighting. That's how good he was.
He has 3 straight, I believe, 100-yard seasons, if I remember.
Absolutely.
3 straight, I believe. I could be wrong. It could be 2 in a split.
No, so he has here's the numbers. Listen to this. So in the Flyers, he had 104 in 72-73, 87 in 74, and then he went 116, 119, 90, 90. All those. We're talking about points. This is before like scoring like 40 goals was like unheard of back then in the 70s.
Yeah.
He was scoring 35, 37, 35, 20, 35. And on top of that, like the guys that scored goals, like unless your name was like Wayne Gretzky, you didn't get 10 goals. He was getting, listen to this shit. This is the numbers that are unbelievable. So on his 35 goal season, he had 46 assists. Then he had 67 assists, 52 assists. The year they won the Stanley Cup, he had 89 assists. 89 and 37 goals. Unbelievable. And like I said, he was known for fighting.
Hey, just look at his picture. He don't got front teeth. It shows you how the state of hockey at this time. He has no front teeth. The man was a badass, and he will score on you. Bobby Clark was different, man. Even though, believe it or not, I love Bernie Perrant's my guy. When I think of Philadelphia hockey, Bernie Perrant's first name comes to mind, believe it or not. But Bobby Clark is bigger than the Flyers. He's hockey. Just like how I say Dr. J was an icon, Bobby Clark in his day was an icon, and he played for us.
Yeah, so
he played his whole entire career with Will. If you want to count the WCH, it's kind of juniors.
Unbelievable.
It's kind of minor.
When you talk about like playoffs, we can look up Dr. J's playoff numbers and all. They're probably great. But the year they won the Stanley Cup, they won the Stanley Cup because of this.
Yes, they won the Stanley Cup.
He had a top 5 all-time points in like least like attempts on goal. Like this man's like plus minus ratio was 42.
And what people understand, he was doing this and whooping your ass.
Exactly.
like think about that. Please, I need people to think about that. He was doing this, then kicking your ass. I know a lot of people. Again, I know a lot of old heads who have him number one as when it comes to Philadelphia athletes, they have him number one. That's hockey.
Our top 5, to be honest with you, we could put it any other way, and I have no argument with that at all because I think they're all top 5. Because we could put Dr. J here, we could put Bobby Clark down below. You know, they're all it's preference, it's net legacy, and I think the reason why we put Bobby Clark a little bit higher is because the Flyers haven't done shit since, and they're still known for what he is. Yeah. The reason we put Dr. J above him is because the Sixers are still known for having better players going, not better, maybe better than him, but good players. Everybody remembers Eric Lindros and all this, right? They don't remember him the way they remember Bobby Clark, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Bobby Clark is just an icon. He's an icon.
Yeah, and
he's the
unbelievable, dude. The reason I'm saying that is because number 3 on our list. He could also be number 1.
Number 3.
Here because we're waiting to do a debate on this guy. So if anybody disagrees with where we have this guy on our list and disagrees with the comparison we had on a chart, then we need you to argue, and we're not allowing Steve to argue against him. Steve, you can't argue against this guy.
You can't argue against this guy. Number 3. Number 3 is already gives it away who it is. And it breaks my heart to even say this because if you know me, a lot of people know me as the Reebok King, the Reebok GOAT. And it's because of this man right here. Allen Iverson, Bubba Chuck, number 3. Listen, I know we're going to hear a lot of that, but y'all got to understand. And when we talk about an icon, he made you dress different, talk different, walk different. I had braids back in my day because of Allen Iverson. That's, to me, he's an all-time. He's the greatest, but for this sake, he's number 3. And I don't have no beef with it. But like I said, listen, G Bird, my brother. I know you're gonna come. I know I'm gonna get a call from you in about 10 But he's number 3 is sitting at number 3, and that's poetic justice.
Yeah, I don't even think we really have to talk about Allen Iverson, what he did here for this.
We don't.
For what he meant, he was unbelievable. But then again, he didn't win a title here. Otherwise, he would have been number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He'd have been all tops. Because the next 2 guys we got on our list are they're all different categories here. Give Paul a call about Iverson not being number 1, but you gotta remember, he's our era too. That's what makes us love him even.
I took my biasness out. And I looked at myself as a reporter while I did this. I did have him number 1 on 2 of my list, 3 of my list. So I took my my bias out, my Philly bias, and said if I was a reporter and I was looking at the greatest Philly sports athletes of all time, I would AI number 3 is not horrible as what people think. Like I said, lists are made to be opinionated. This list is made for y'all to chop us up. We want to hear yours. We want to hear your top 10 afterwards.
Yeah, no, that's why we do these, man. We do these lists because they're fun, argumental, and like I said, we grew up with Iverson, so it actually hurts a lot not to make him number 1. But we don't even need to talk about him. The guy's MVP 2000, 11-time NBA champ, NBA All-Star. I wish he was 11-time NBA champion. Would that be amazing? 3-time All NBA first team. It's great. And I do want to throw it out there, Rel, if you're listening. Steve just commented back on me here and says he's 100% wants to argue against him. And I actually love hearing Steve argue against people he likes. So it's amazing. And it's his stone cold face. So good luck. So we're going to be contacting you about that because we're going to do the Iverson.
Wait. Who's Steve defending?
Well, so in the group, remember you put the post up, Iverson or Wade. Philly group, everybody chose Iverson.
Yeah.
Well, Rel Escobar chose Iverson, and we were looking for somebody to go against him, but we're in a Philadelphia group, so nobody wants to go against him.
Okay, you know what, though? You know what?
Argue
I would
against.
I would like to hear this.
Yeah, so we're gonna set that up. I mean, I'm down. Oh man, WIP got it number one, but also like we just said, they didn't have Brian Dawkins on their list. So WIP was. I think
WIP is supposed to be predominant. Listen, they're the predominant station here. In my opinion, I like the other one better. 97.5 is to me is a more I can relate more to the station. But WIP didn't even have B-Dawk on there. They did have AI number one. I respect that, but I think that's because I don't know. I really don't know because I was surprised. I thought the next guy was going to be number one.
We'll check it. I mean, our next two guys on the list are going to be here. We're going to tell you guys why. So number 2 on the list, we're going to go to a different sport. We haven't had it on here yet. It's a sport that a lot of Philadelphia people love this sport. Even now, even when they're miserable, they love talking about them. They're all over the radio right now. WIP talks about them all the time, and we're talking about definitely their best player ever, the Philadelphia Phillies. At number 2, we got Mike Schmidt at number 2.
Michael, say it. I'm gonna need you to say this right. It's Michael Jack Smith. It's Michael Jack Smith, the greatest second baseman of all time. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I heard he was a prick, but it don't matter. He got his championship.
Listen, I met him a couple times. He was a stone cold prick. So every time I used to go, this is why I didn't even want to put him on here because I was like, he's a dick. Every time I used to go to Clearwater, we used to see him and his base coach. We used to get the Hooters next seats, so we would always sit right next to him. And he's still there, still got his mustache. Like he don't look exactly the same. He's a little older now. I think he's like 72, 73 years old. But man, like just watching him even as a coach, like coaching these guys how to play, how to ground ball, how to hit. He was unbelievable, man. He's 12-time All-Star. 3-time winner of the National League MVP in an era in which you didn't win that shit.
Nah,
this man not only could stroke the ball with 2,200 hits, 548 home runs, 1,500 RBIs. He was the best fielding third baseman ever. 10-time Gold Glove winner. 10 times. The next highest Philly has 2. He has 10. That's unbelievable. And on top of that, he won in those times. Think about this. He won 10 Gold Glove awards in them times. He won 6 Silver Slugger awards. This means he was the best hitter and fielder at his position for 6 of those years. Unbelievable. He was an 8-time NL home run leader, 74 to 76, 80, 81, 83, 84, 86, which is unbelievable. Look up the players he was going against. He did some amazing things, and he brought a championship here to Philadelphia. It was our first one, which we still remember it. Even though we won, we're part of that era where we won, 08? We still remember the first championship in 80. And he was the reason, maybe not the full reason they won, but,
I mean, he's one of the most recognized athletes in Philadelphia history as well.
Yeah.
He played alongside Larry Boa.
Yeah.
He played alongside Pete Rose. I mean, that team was iconic.
Unbelievable, dude. I mean,
it was iconic. I mean, that 1980 team was Philadelphia sports in 1980 period was
unbelievable.
The gold standard. They were in the 1980s. The Sixers, the Flyers, the Eagles, Phillies. They all were in the champion content, which we wish we were today. but they were in championship contention every sport. They were either in the finals or in the championship game. And Michael Jack Schmidt is a cold reason why the Phillies were.
You know, it's crazy, dude. I remember when we were kids, 1990, so like 1996, 7, when, you know, our parents started getting us like sports cards.
Yeah.
I think in Philadelphia, like one of the first sports cards everybody got was Mike Schmidt card.
I remember I still have my Schmitty card somewhere around here.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our parents were pissed off that they used to use them as their little bike spokes things now, because they're probably valuable now, you know. But man, like, the stuff that guy has done, man. You know, Hall of Famer. He was elected 96% of the vote. You know, 4th highest voted percentage ever in Major League Baseball history. Still to this day, 96.52%. That's how good he was, you know. And you know, like I said, this guy was a guy that could hit the ball, he could field the ball, and he's proven to become a great coach for the generation and stay with the organization. A lot of merit on it. You know, like you said, a lot of old heads have him number 1 because they love baseball.
They love baseball. It really depends. That's the thing about these lists. If you love the sport more, that player, I guarantee you, somebody loves basketball, AI is number 1. I guarantee you, somebody loves football, probably Reggie White's number 1. I guarantee you, basketball. I mean, like I said, AI, baseball, Schmitty. So, and Bobby Clark's number 1 for hockey. Whatever sport you love, they're number 1. I guarantee it. I could call 10 guys from Philly who are 4-for-4 guys, and it will be 10 different answers.
Exactly, it's true. So we got all that right there. Our number 1 on the list. There's no debating. This is the best athlete, best player that ever played for Philly. Play in Philly. No questions about that. You guys already know who it is. Like, we don't even need to sit here and talk about it. It's Rocky fucking Balboa. Get the fuck out of here.
What you guys think we're not going to leave the GOAT off?
Come on. Rocky Balboa.
We were going to leave the GOAT. The GOAT of Philadelphia sports. Rocky fucking Balboa. He beat Apollo Creed. You know he beat Apollo Creed, right?
Apollo Creed, Drago, Clubber. Nah, he's number 1. Nah,
he beat Tommy the Machine Gun outside of a bar and knocked him out on top of a set of bus. That's legendary, bro. Come on.
Oh man, yo, the fact that people actually put him on the list just shows how
it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
All jokes aside, he doesn't qualify as an athlete there. But number 1, a lot of you don't even really remember him as a Philadelphia athlete, but he actually played half his career here in Philadelphia. He actually won, you know, some big meaningful games here in Philadelphia. We're talking about Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. He's number 1. Number 1.
Listen,
like, love him or hate him, he's number 1.
See, this is when the guy who's from Philadelphia, who's done a lot of things as a Sixer, 100-point game, why he's number 1. Wilt Chamberlain, you can't say Philadelphia sports without mentioning Wilt Chamberlain. And if you do,
with the 100, he's wearing a Philadelphia jersey. Remember that, guys.
You guys got to think about that. Listen, my Philly bias would have had AI number 1.
Yeah, but it's Wilt.
but because Wilt is Philadelphia, and come on, the guy was slaying him out there, bro. Come on, the guy was slaying.
It's the only reason we don't have Iverson number 1, because we would have switched him to number 2, but we didn't want to have 2 basketball players number 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Smitty got the nod there at number 2. You know, no debate about that. But like, we all know what Wilt has done in his NBA career. But let's not forget, guys, that he played for the Philadelphia Warriors too. Like that was actually his first team that he played for, and then it became the Sixers, the San Francisco Warriors. So I guess that doesn't count as being the organization anymore. But then he played for the Philadelphia 76ers for another 4 years. And how many titles did he win? He won 4 MVPs or some shit here. 2-time NBA champion, which unfortunately, again, that's why a lot of you don't like Wilt in Philly, because he didn't win here. But he did win, you know, Rookie of the Year. He had some scoring, rebounding awards, all that type of shit here. And, you know, his numbers retired here in Philly. He's wearing that famous photo in his Philly jersey.
Listen, our debate champ agrees.
He did.
Stevie agrees.
Yeah, I was trying to, like,
anybody want to smoke with our man Steve about that can get at him, but he agrees. Yeah. Wilson number 1. And there's a lot. Again, we can call your uncle right now. We can call your uncle right now. He'll tell you the same thing. I can call my uncle, and he'll tell you the same thing.
They do.
I can call. I can go. I will call. I can go down the street, knock on the guy's door that I know is a Sixers fan, but he's like 60-some years old. He'll say, "Will." He's iconic. He's iconic. He's 100-point game. The man did it. He did everything. He was probably the most freak of an athlete that they've ever seen. We never got to see him play. I get the AI bias. I really do because I'm one of them. I'm one of them. But I learned to appreciate Will Chamberlain game. So
yeah, actually, our debate guy here, Steve, the champ, well, co-champ. You got to get the champ here. He re-inferred that he did win a championship here. Well, that's how long ago it is. I had it written down. I scribbled it. I didn't know if I was right or not, but he did win there. Let me look up his years. His years are, man, like 1958, 65. Like,
yeah.
The numbers he was putting up are unbelievable. Like, it's crazy. His stats, like, unbelievable.
He won as a Laker, I believe. Am I right?
Yeah, he won one here, and then he won one with the Lakers.
Hey, that's why these lists are great. You guys can slice and dice these and come up with your own.
60, he won the NBA MVP rookie season. That's unbelievable. Like, I don't care who you're playing against. Like, the only, like, I don't know how many other players have ever done that, won MVP in the rookie season. I don't think any, maybe. Am I wrong? I don't know. This man, in his third career basketball game, he scored 41 points and 40 rebounds. Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
I'm looking at these stats here. It's pretty crazy. His numbers.
Yo, Will was number one. I'm gonna tell you why Will was number one. He was out there slaying them, if you know what I mean. He was out there slaying them. The man slept with how many women? 13,000? My bad, baby. 13,000? Like, my man was slaying them. He's top 10 everything after that point.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, unbelievable. Yo, so I don't know about you, but guys, I love lists like this. So if you guys have any like lists that we're not doing a Stoop bracket about, that you just want to see a breakdown top 10 this,
yeah,
get it with us, because like we'll come up with a list and then we'll argue back and forth with you live on here like we just did, because that's what it's about, you know. And no, Robert, we did not claim Ali. We claimed Frazier, not Ali.
Yeah, yo, Rob, who the fuck is Ali? Yo, who is Ali? Tell me. Right, listen.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. He's probably thinking Will Smith played his character, so we're maybe.
That would be great. That would be a great show job. I would appreciate it, actually.
I mean, yo, and you know, I know he did actually come here in Philadelphia, spent a couple training here, but I think that was because he actually trained with Frazier Ali sometimes, even though they made it like it look like they hate each other. Because like if you look up Philadelphia and Muhammad Ali, it does talk about he had a legacy here, but he wasn't.
It was in Deer. It was up in the mountains, and he did come to. Listen, here's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know because I'm such a boxing head. Joe Frazier took care of Ali a little bit. When Ali couldn't fight, he couldn't get paid. Ali would come down here. Frazier would look out for him. It wasn't always all beef and shit. Like Frazier did look out for Ali for a long time. Exactly. When Ali was out of boxing, he was in Philadelphia a lot. He just you gotta think the media back then wasn't all over it, you know. But
true.
It's not like they could snap a picture and put it on Twitter and say, "Yo, Ali's in Philly," like they were with
Can you imagine that now? Mate, these dumbass kids nowadays would claim him, but nah, we're smart. We know it. And guys, we make a lot of these lists that make y'all argue. That's part of it.
And I got your argument too. But this is what we built this shit off of. Yo, I need to go back and look at those old episodes when it was Stoop Life and VKO tandem. I need to go back and see what list we did, so I could be like, all right, let me put these back out here.
The glory of it is like we know sports pretty well, not the best, well enough. The fact that like we made this list in a day, like we came up with the list in a day. So yeah, you might talk to us a month from now. We're like, like we should have put this guy up, or like we see your comments, you're like, how the hell do we not have him there?
Listen, I'm mad about Moses. I'm still mad at myself about Moses, bro.
Well, you had him on. I took his ass off. we had to put someone.
My God, bro. Like I got a reason why I like Moses so much because of how dominant he was. You know what I mean? Like he said, "I'm coming to your city. I'm coming. You guys are gonna sign me. I'm gonna come here. We're gonna win championship," and they did it. Yeah. Moses was the heart. He was. Doc might have been the icon of that team, but Moses was the player. He was the best player, I believe, in my opinion.
We should do, since a lot of you guys on here in the comments and all were confused of whether we were talking about Philly athletes, because I actually was at first when Paul sent it to me. I think next time we do a list, we need to have a couple of you guys come on and talk about Philadelphia athletes that were from Philly, that not played for the city, but were from here. So if they played for us and they were from here, they count. But like someone like Mike Schmidt, he was not from Philadelphia. He doesn't count. You know, someone like Allen Iverson, he wasn't from Philadelphia. He doesn't count.
He's from the
So I think we need to do that because that'd be an interesting list. Remember how I was like, do we get to put on Kobe? What about Mike Piazza? You know, them guys. We could have another list like that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do that next. And you guys that are active in the chat here, we're going to hook up. We'd love to have you guys on here. So we got a couple people on here. We got Robert. We want you on. And Greg, after you call.
Yo, G-Bird, listen. I'm talking to G-Bird right now. I'm literally talking to my OG G-Bird right now. I would love to have G-Bird on, not just for sports, but just talk anything. Like G-Bird's my guy, bro. That's my OG.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get y'all on there. But just a reminder: top 10 Philadelphia athletes that have played for the city. We got number 10, Joel Embiid. Number 9, Bernard Hopkins. Number 8, Brian Dawkins. Number 7, Joe Frazier. Number 6, Reggie White. Number 5, Dr. J. Number 4, Bobby Clark. Number 3, Allen Iverson. Hurts. Number 2, Mike Schmidt. Sorry, what's his real name again?
Mike Schmidt. Michael Jack Schmidt. Get it right.
Everybody got.
That's how my father. Listen, it's funny. That's how Big Paul, my father. That's how he says Michael Jack Schmidt. All right, my bad. That's how I grew up.
Hey, MJ, and then number 1, Will Chamberlain. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna be doing a lot more episodes like this as well. We got a lot of stuff coming up on the Stoop too. We got a debate coming up between Russell Westbrook MVP season, MVP season. Y'all love that in the group, so I can't wait to see that one. So I'm glad you put that in there, Paul, because that had a lot of traction.
And I appreciate all y'all, man. Y'all made the Stoop Life great. The Stoop Life is a community now. It's a brand. We have a podcast. It's just great because of y'all. So if y'all keep coming at us, I love it. Y'all want to start arguing, I'm all for it. It's all fun and games. We all have respect for each other as it is. We're all real sports fans. I don't think there's not a single non-real sports fan in that group, unless you're just there because it's support.
We could debate some people know sports. They just kind of nitpick stuff because some of the comments I saw the week before, I was like, yo.
Yeah, I ain't gonna mention no names on that one.
That was the So one thing we want you guys to understand is that we're not like Paul talks about all the time. Paul started this off to make sure we are not like these other sports groups out there. There's other sports groups out there. They got 30, 40,000 people in it. It's all cool. It looks cool. We got all them numbers, but we want to collaborate and communicate with our group. That's why we don't want 40,000 people in there because they got 40,000 people, and 90% of the people that just post a bunch of bullshit that they don't believe. They want to start. We want you to actually post shit that you agree on, that you're willing to sit on this debate.
Yeah.
And debate that shit rightfully. And we want people all in the group that, keep it cordial. That if you're having a conversation at a table, you buy that person lunch. When you're
sitting on your stoop. Like you're sitting on your stoop back in the day arguing with your boys. Or in the barbershop, either one you prefer.
Exactly, because
that's how I want it, and this is how it's been.
Absolutely, you guys go on and you check out some of these other groups. These people post stuff, and I'm like, Paul, what? Like, I'm not gonna get out of here. These people are fucking idiots. You're allowed to have a different opinion. That's what makes it great. But like these people, they're not having opinions. They're just being fucking idiots. And I'm glad that the 99% of you guys in this group are awesome, and we love you guys.
Listen,
we appreciate you.
I'll take my close to 1,000 guys here, 1,000 members I have, over that 40,000 any day in a debate and anything else.
Like someone threw something out there. I think it was probably last week when I was all banged up and I didn't respond.
Understatement. Dame Dub's understatement.
Tequila shot.
I told you.
Yo, we should debate against other sports groups. They don't want this because they would be flagging us because we whoop their ass so bad. They'd be like, we're violent because we're that good. So, we can't do that. That's why we keep it in-house and we debate and we're violent against each other in the sports debate. So, the Cut It Raps, guys, I just want to say thank you all. We appreciate you. Everyone who's interacting during the podcast, we're going to try and do that more to interact with you because it makes it fun. And if you guys are listening on the video, be sure to check us out on all podcasting apps. Just look for Stoop Life and be awesome. Give us a review, screenshot it, send us to you because we love to give you guys a shout out and appreciation. So thank you guys again because without y'all, we wouldn't even be sitting here talking. So Paulie, floor is yours. But peace out, guys. Thanks.
All right, fellas. Thank you guys for listening, watching, interacting, talking that talk. I appreciate it, guys. Well, I'm sure we'll be back on the Stoop Life within the next 5 minutes, and there'll be a lot of disagreements. But that's the beauty of this. So thank you guys for watching. Anytime you guys want to come in, talk your shit, floor is always open. This podcast door is always open.
Yeah,
especially my guys locally. Amazing. And shout out to all our sponsors. Because again, they're big contributors still.
Absolutely. Town, keep it real. Peace out, y'all.
That's it.